embarking. Give fuller details on these matters sometime next year in terms of the selection of public representatives and answer your questions, including the distortions about the standing of ANC structures in relation to this process. We'll clarify those matters at that point. The ANC's Working Committee has thoroughly reviewed the comprehensive report from the Economic Transformation Subcommittee concerning manipulation of the rand. The Working Committee has resolved that this report should be presented at the forthcoming meeting of the National Executive Committee to enable a detailed analysis of the repercussions of this manipulation on the most vulnerable segments of our society. The ANC reiterates its call for law enforcement agencies to act decisively and expediently in bringing criminal charges against those individuals and banking institutions implicated in manipulating the rand. This egregious act against the South African populace cannot be left unpunished. The people of South Africa rightfully demand and deserve justice. We insist on accountability from those who have willfully compromised our economy for their gains. The rand manipulation was a crime of corruption, and we must call things by their first names. Corruption in the private sector is still corruption, and its consequences are just as severe. Furthermore, we assert that the directors and executives should face prosecution in their capacities, being held personally responsible for the detriment they have inflicted upon our economy. This act is nothing short of a crime against the people of South Africa. We maintain that the 43 million rand proposed by Standard Chartered pales in comparison to the damage brought upon our economy. The full extent of this criminal manipulation of our currency, particularly its impact on the poorest among us, is yet to be fully realized and acknowledged. The ANC engaged through official channels to address the matter. Aulini company, following numerous misrepresentations and conjectures by various media outlets, of course fed by the same people. Nothing wrong about the media because they report what they are told. Regarding the legal dispute between the ANC and Aulini Pty Ltd, it is imperative to clarify the actual state of affairs in this matter. Initially, I will provide background and the context to the genesis of this issue before summarizing our current position. During the 2019 general elections campaign, I was appointed the head of the ANC's election campaign. My responsibilities included overseeing various aspects of the campaign, including procuring elections material. Contrary to some claims, we engaged a different firm, not an election campaign. In 2020, Aulini initiated legal proceedings against us in the High Court of Johannesburg, claiming payment for material used in the 2019 elections, including banners. As the head of the ANC's election campaign then, the Treasurer General, Paul Mashatile, and I had complete oversight of contracts and approvals for election materials. We dealt with a number of companies and were never approached by Aulini to provide such materials. The alleged debt to Aulini was surprising, given our lack of engagement with them. Upon learning of this supposed debt, we initiated an investigation to understand its origins. It emerged that two junior staff members, without authorization from either myself or the TG, had been dealing with Aulini. The ANC leadership did not sanction these interactions. A number of allegations have emerged through faceless sources that one of these junior staff has got blood relations with myself. I've got no blood relationship except comradeship with this individual. And to delve deeper, we commissioned a forensic investigation by the esteemed Edward Nathan Sonnesberg Forensics. The investigation, completed early in 2023, revealed criminality and corruption between Aulini and the unauthorized staff members. Based on these findings, we sought to introduce the forensic report as evidence in the Supreme Court of Appeal. However, the SCA dismissed this aspect of the appeal, thus rejecting the entire appeal. We are now taking this matter to the Constitutional Court, hoping they will accept the forensic report into evidence at this late stage. The report provides incontrovertible evidence of Aulini offering substantial bribes to the two staff members. These individuals in turn forged documents presented to Aulini, falsely indicating that the ANC had engaged in their services. There is no evidence to suggest that Aulini was responsible for erecting posters and banners for the ANC during this period. If they did, it was under fraudulent pretenses. In summary, we hope the Constitutional Court will consider these facts. This issue is significant for the ANC and of national importance, given the public interest it has garnered. Comrades and supporters of the African National Congress remain steadfast in addressing the Aulini matter. We urge each member and supporter to stay united during these challenging times. Our unwavering trust in the judicial system, especially the Constitutional Court, has led to a strategic pause of execution, demonstrating our confidence in fair judicial outcomes. We stand together against those attempting to manipulate this issue for political gain, upholding the principles of good governance, inspired by leaders like Chief Luthuli and Winnie Mandela. We have actively pursued those implicated in our internal forensic investigation. Our commitment is to the judicial process, rather than engaging in unproductive public spending. Financially, the leaders like Lillian Ngoyi stands unshaken, brave and steadfast. We continue to advance in unity and strength. In other words, we fear Foko. I can put my head on the block and no one will liquidate the African National Congress. As the ANC, we are not going to an AI-generated Zulu. Lead the ANC paying millions of rands to something that never happened. If we procured posters 102 million, those organizations who know how much it cost for a poster, the ANC campaign and everything else, it would have meant that we still have those posters up until now. It's a lot of money. But nonetheless, they are determined. They are determined through this fraudulent behavior to basically even liquidate or make it a point that the ANC is declared insolvent. For a service they've never rendered. They've got connections, they connive, they've got connections even in the ANC. You've got comrades who will call you that they know them, and therefore they are making suggestions about this and that. In terms of the case, all what we want to tell them is that comrades must desist from that. There was never, ever a procurement with a Zulu. Even if they may know each other from Newcastle or wherever they come from, there was never a procurement. This is a fraudulent matter. The ANC meet its obligations. There are people we owe in the ANC for the longest of time, and we have entered into terms of payment with them. It's the first time that we are facing a fraudulent matter and people are determined to extort millions of rands from the African National Congress. And in certain quarters, they call themselves ANC members. Now, we will not go to court. It is costly if we owe to people. We'll simply settle and pay them in installments. The fact of the matter is that we never procured. And the courts also, because of our legal positioning, have found against us. In this particular instance, knowing very well on our part that we never procured these posters. And they are nowhere where you can say you saw them in the campaign of the elections. So, we're not fighting a case of a black company that procured with the ANC and the ANC does not want to pay the company. We'll never do that. We've got many people who love this movement, who their children have gone to bed sometimes with bigger challenges because of their indebtedness to the African National Congress. And they are owed lots of money. And the ANC have entered into terms to pay them, and we pay them, and we will pay them. In this particular instance, this is not the same case. It's a case of people who have met, worked with our staff internally in the organization, and decided to defraud the organization and milk millions out of the ANC. We wake up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning in the election war room. And the first item on our agenda all the time was procurement of material, publicity material for the elections. Aulini never came to our agenda. Even this letter using my signature and all of that, was done fraudulently. One sentence, because somebody was given the power and the authority to execute. Mashatile never signed to concur. Where will he have gotten the money, 102 million for posters? How can you get the organization into such debt without a consultation? Nobody have such authority, even companies, in terms of good governance, CEOs, they've got a limit. I had no limit of 102 million to procure posters for the ANC. As Aulini, they know that. They know that, but they insist on this and go to the courts and all of that. All the people we owe, we are committed to their full payment. In installment, we enter into terms with them. This was never there. It was never part of those companies that we had to procure with as the African National Congress. The ANC delegation, under the leadership of the Secretary General, yesterday held a significant meeting with a range of Palestinian leaders. Hamas, Fatah, PLO, we met them here at Luthuli House. The meeting included the SACP delegation, led by its General Secretary, Comrade Soli Mapai. We saw representatives from various Palestinian organizations, including Fatah movement, Hamas, Islamic Jihad movement in Lebanon, and as well as the embassy and the ambassadorial of Palestine in South Africa. As the ANC, we were privileged to welcome these leaders of liberation on a poignant day marking the 10th anniversary of the passing of our revered liberation icon, President Nelson Mandela. His enduring words remind us of our duty to actively support the cause of freedom and justice. This principle guides our unwavering support for the liberation and self-determination of Palestine as a matter of social justice. The Palestinian leaders provided an alarming account of the ongoing genocide against their people, highlighting over 7 decades of occupation, racial discrimination, violence, unlawful detentions, and systematic oppression. The relentless assault on innocent lives, including women and children, and the targeted destruction of essential infrastructure paints a grim picture of humanity. In response, the ANC and the Palestinian delegation concurred on several critical actions, including calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the opening of borders for humanitarian aid, the release of all Palestinian political prisoners, and the cessation of occupation. We stressed the right to self-determination for the Palestinian people, their right to resist, and the need for global solidarity in isolating apartheid practices in Israel. We also urged the United States of America and Western countries to withdraw their support from such oppressive regimes. The meeting underscored the paramount importance of unity among Palestinian organizations, such as the Fatah movement, Hamas, in their collective struggle against occupation and for self-determination. Echoing the sentiment of President Mandela, the ANC reaffirms its commitment to the belief that our own freedom is inextricably linked to the freedom of the Palestinian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SG. At this point, I will call for questions from members of the media, and I will start on my left, as always. And I will request that we stick to a few questions. If there's a chance, we'll then have another round and another round. But for now, we'll start with 1 or 2 questions from each of our media colleagues. I don't see a hand, so I'm going to come this side and come to Lizega Tandwa. Time is of essence. Your hand was up. Lizega, please go ahead. And immediately after you, it will be Sabgelo Masego.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Lizega Tandwa from the Mail and Guardian. SG, you spoke briefly of the report which the ECC has presented to you. Can you share what the report says, just briefly, given that Treasury has already said that there was no proof and that there was no damage to the economy or devaluing of the currency? So that's the report that you have from your own committee distributors. Just clarity on Mr. Mabaso or Mr. Aulini. Are they still in your employ as Utility House? Are they still staffers? And if there was action taken, when was this action taken? And have they been fired? Can you tell us if there's been any legal action that was taken by you in terms of law enforcement?
Last question.
The last question. The report that you referenced, and I'm assuming in terms of Aulini as well, I'm assuming you're referring to the forensic report which you submitted to the SCA. There was some discrepancies which Justice or Judge Govan found in that report. One, he says that you submitted a summary of the report, not the actual report. And in that summary, you did not, the summary did not have signatures, it did not have a letterhead, they did not know who you had commissioned for that report. Can you just clarify that? As well as the argument of criminality, you did not substantiate when it comes to those WhatsApp messages from Mabaso. Why weren't you able to hand over that proof? I'll get to other questions later.
Thank you very much. There will be another. Thank you very much, Mail and Guardian, SABC.
Mr. Mbalula, just in essence, with regards to all this botanical municipality, a CFO was appointed in the municipality against the advice of your region in Bujana. What's going to happen to those councils 55 in the ANC in the appointment of that particular CFO? Secondly, on the question of Roger Jardine, it is rumored that ANC veterans are behind the so-called campaign of Roger Jardine to be the face of the multi.
On the rand, the report suggests that it is not the report from the Competition Commission, it is the report from the Economic Transformation Subcommittee. Work still needs to be done, but nonetheless, the working committee was very clear that a part of that work includes the work of declaring this as a criminal act and an act of corruption. It must not be sugar-coated. Part of that work includes the work that structures of government have got to process that report in relation to its for the financial sector in the country, to the point that it is a matter that will fade away. This collusion happened in this country when the big construction companies during 2010 colluded. And then it was just a slap in the wrist, and then the matter was done away with. God. And if it was corruption in the it would have meant a lot of halabaloo, and including PPEs, government moved, established a fusion center, a lot of by SIU, And we will get much clearer when we get to the NEC about how far government has gone in taking steps also in dealing with this issue. But law enforcement must act, and these matters have been followed up by law enforcement in the country. So we are working with law enforcement in dealing with this matter. View of the employer, he will be brought to book for what they've actually done to head the African National Congress. So steps have also been taken to deal with the matter internally in terms of discipline in the organization. So the general manager to argue on the report that the owners of the report were not allowed to table, it's a bit unfair, because those questions will be answered. Nathan Sonneberg Company is a reputable firm, well known, and their report is on the letterhead, and it was conducted thoroughly in terms of this matter. The ANC might have been lax in terms of diligently and moving faster in dealing with this criminal act, but it does not mean that it is not a fraudulent and a criminal act. It is. And that will be pursued with everything at our disposal. More so, facing a possibility of paying out huge sums of money to an act of criminality. So you can't just leave it like that. Actually, this thing is more than just, it is a heist, actually. It is a heist that has been meted upon the African National Congress. It is a heist, and a big one. Like all heists, they happen with internal conniving at the shop floor. Like all heists, they happen like that. It's a tip-off, working inside, that today we are transporting 10 million, be on the alert. That's what we have found in the police over time, that all heists are not just happening without information and working of people internally. So this is a fraudulent matter. It's not a case of people who are making a genuine issue. What makes it more credible is because people who worked in the office actually provided these documents to the party, which is Aulini. People who worked in the ANC provided these documents to them. Nowhere in our dealings in the election house did we ever had a report which is not from anyone that says that we've got posters to the tune of 102 million and be aware of that. Nobody. The head of elections account to the officials, account to the NWC, account to the NEC, account to the subcommittee. That's what the head of elections does. Doesn't work alone. Where in the subcommittee has it ever emerged that we've got posters to the tune of 102 million? 102 million posters, it means the whole campaign. The ANC struggled financially, and yet we had 102 million posters that were procured. So what I'm saying to you is that that thing was not there. They will argue till they turn blue. They will give you reports, faceless reports. I'm telling you now, on behalf of the ANC, we never entered into any contract with Aulini. And when you enter into contracts with people, it is done above board. There is nobody who can take a unilateral decision to procure for 102 million without the knowledge of the treasurer of the ANC, which is Paul Mashatile. There's no signature of Paul Mashatile, nothing to the so-called piece of paper. And then you are then supposed to pay 102 million. How will that happen? We can't take a decision here today without the TG of the ANC and the knowledge and agree with Mahlengi that we are now going to procure posters for 200 million. It must be approved. It must go through processes. So yeah, it is an arrangement. Give me that paper to justify this. And then that is it. Now, the report summary and all of that, we've got the report. We've got the report. It is not summary. We've got a detailed forensic report from a credible firm, and then they did the thorough work. It is not Mbalula. It meant even myself, I was investigated, and everybody involved, Paul Mashatile and everybody, were investigated. If you understand forensics, how they actually work. So they produced the report at the end, which that report was dismissed by SCA. Now, on technical basis, even criminals win cases on technical basis. But the moral of the story is that we never had a contract with these people, such that we can go all the way to oppose a genuine small company that procured stuff for the ANC, and the ANC is refusing to pay. And it answered the question of Samkel. Now, CFO of Bujanala, we've got the report. This week, I met with the provincial leadership. Before I came into this meeting, I missed the call from the chair. We have written to those comrades. Nobody will do as they wish in the ANC. That CFO and the things that they have done, and those who have done those things of employing somebody who is implicated in VBS, there will be consequences on them. Because they did that thing arrogantly. We can no longer allow perceptions to hang on that we are a corrupt organization and we do nothing about corruption. We can't allow that. Comrades in the council, mabalauleke. They cannot go with their eyes open and their minds, go and employ somebody who's implicated into something, and then you go and confirm that person as CFO. That decision, if it is not implemented by today, there will be consequences before end of the week. If it means the Secretary General writing to them and bringing them to book, that will happen. The constitution of the ANC allows. I don't even have to write a letter. I will tell them telephonically, one by one, what must actually happen. But for now, I've given space to the province to handle the matter, and I'm sure Nono was giving me a feedback on that particular issue. Roger Jardine, we are very much aware that Roger Jardine's name comes from the so-called Moonshot Pack and whatever that you call charter. What is it? Multi-party charter. Of course, there are people in the ANC, some of them have got no mandate of the organization, who are entertaining fears of ANC dropping below 50%. There are many. But I can tell you right now, they've got no mandate of the organization. There's no ANC that met at any given point in time and given instructions to its members to go and negotiate on its behalf about the possibility. And I can tell you right now, we'll still be together. I don't know when is the election. The ANC will be back into power. And I will be standing here on this podium because I know that the members and volunteers of the ANC and everyone else who support the movement will work for victory. Besides, the opposition have got no answer. They've got no answers. Their only issue is load shedding. Load shedding resolved, there's no opposition in South Africa against the ANC. Without segments of the media supporting the opposition, there's no opposition. What You can't call Herman Mashaba a serious opponent. A guy who wants to take us back to apartheid and doesn't want anything that has got to do with the affirmation of our people and all of that. Everything that was intact during apartheid, he wanted back. He doesn't even say BE must be transformed to mean something else. He says it must be scrapped. He doesn't want affirmative action. The DA says all civil servants, when they come to power, they are gone. You tell me about those people and power. Anyone who wants to vote for these people in a democratic South Africa must examine themselves. They must examine themselves, because here are the people who are saying, as an alternative to the ANC, they are going to bring you back to pre-1994. I don't know what EFF offers. It is Father Christmas. Depending on how the leader wake up today, he will be promising you big things. Flip-flopper of note, and he changes his rhythm depending. If the big issue today is about the load shedding, Julius will be on TV calling for you to shut down. That's the revolution he's leading. And there are people who follow him in that regard. So we can go to town about it. There's no principle, there's no backbone, nothing. At least in life and in politics, you must be known for having stood for something. They attack him about foreigners, he changes, he's on the other side. He's no longer very vehement on the foreigners issue like he used to, as a matter of principle. Changes depending on what happens. So you tell me that those are the people who are going to come and win overwhelmingly. The biggest loss of the ANC, it will mean that our people do not come out and vote in their numbers. If they don't come out, we'll lose. Even in the election, where we garnered close to 8 million votes within a month, they could not obliterate the ANC. Our people still came out in their numbers and voted. In fact, the DA dropped. The biggest hung municipalities in this country are in the Western Cape. The ANC could not be obliterated politically. They had all the chances to do so. Our people, as we say, are heartful about things that get to be said and not done. And they will rather not go and vote. They don't offer any alternative. They did not go to them. If they base their analysis on the 46% that we got, that it gives them hope, then why didn't people go to them? They didn't. They stayed at home. They were protesting here at Lutuli House. Davidson, during the campaign, people didn't go and vote. They said, why are we going to vote when we don't have water? In the middle of the campaign, we were hit with load shedding. People complained about load shedding. When I said that to Khutazo, that I expect the polling to be at 30%, they then interpreted to meaning that I'm saying ANC will get 30% next year. I said the polling, when people have got no water, when people have got no electricity, how can you expect the ANC to poll better? Because these are butter and bread issues. They affect you directly. My son, when he's watching TV and there's load shedding in the house, for the first time I heard him saying things. No, I won't tell you. So that's how people, it affects them, because he's enjoying his games, he's doing things, he's watching TV, there comes load shedding. It affects you directly. Huh? No, he didn't speak about it. So Roger Jardine is a project, we know. We know that there is a project called Roger Jardine, who comes from the family of the ANC, a civil servant of note, and then they want him to make him a black face of the Moonshot comedy. And that is what they want. Now, people who are fearful are the ones who are entertaining the issues of the Moonshot and all of that, not the ANC. So Roger Jardine is a project of Moonshot and of the DA that is going to be their face. They will say no. They will tell you no, there's no such a thing. We know it. We know that project. We are inside that project. We know it. And it will not succeed. But as long as others continue to entertain it, it is fine. But Roger Jardine himself, it's up to him. He wants his legacy politically to disappear over Moonshot and betraying the liberation struggle. He can do that. Anyone does things. Botera, they went to form COPE using the name of the former president, who over time has clarified that it's got nothing to do with COPE, but they went nonetheless. That thing of removing the president triggered their anger about Polokwane Conference to form an organization. It triggered. It was something that led to them forming an organization. It triggered them. It assisted them. And they used the name of the former president to form an organization. When the ANC took a reckless and a wrong decision to remove Thabo Mbeki, when he was left with a couple of months to get out of, yes, it was a reckless decision. Why do you remove somebody who has not stolen from government, who was doing his job? You sit down, you remove him. What did he do? That's the man who was supposed to ask a question, then Zendo. He didn't. Mantashe arrived there, as the Secretary General told him, he left. He said, what time? He wrote a letter, addressed the press conference, left. He didn't fight over it, even though he had all the reasons. Then it triggered people to form an organization because something had visited them, losing power in Polokwane. You wake up, you were a national chair. You wake up the following day, you are nothing. I mean, you were Terra Likota, well-known, Robben Island, UDF, you're gone. Yeah, you wake up every day, you've got withdrawal syndromes. So what do? You form a political party. That political party is dying a natural death as we speak now. Look, ANC leaders, what we are facing with Aulini is not an ANC obligation of failing to meet its own obligations. It's not. It's a fraudulent matter. And I've addressed the issue. The ANC state of finance is stable. But politics and financing the liberation struggle is expensive. It's got demands every day. To organize marches, to print T-shirts, all of those things are not cheap. They need money. Now, ANC members do contribute to the party, those who are in business. Even those that can be accused, I can tell you right now, I was in OR Tambo region. This one who donated 1 million, how many tenders did he have? And I said to them, and I'm repeating it now, donate to the ANC for the sustenance of your ideas and your belief in this revolution, but do not get into fraudulent tenders. When you got a tender of 12 billion in government, you've got a proper business, you are delivering, donate. They don't donate up to 1 million. Donate up until 99 so that you don't declare. Donate. Like Motsepe. 100,000, whatever that it is. Motsepe. Donate to the ANC, Patrice. And donate also to other political parties. He's not fearless because he doesn't owe anybody any corruption. Johan Rupert at least told me once, I see now he's fighting over comradeship. He said, I won't give the ANC money. And I don't support any political party. I don't know how truthful he is. And I was not asking money from him. He was just eventually yeah, he was not asking anything from me. He's a billionaire. He was just telling me what he thinks at that moment. Now, in conclusion, I'm saying to you that the ANC is in a sound financial situation, but we've got our difficulties. And one of our obligations is to pay our staff. And that's what we do. ANC leaders who've got money, they must donate to the organization. And we go to them every day to donate. And others, bravely so, they do. On the other side now, they are telling us that we must go. Yes? Investec CEO the other day, he was speaking bravely. A product of BE. He got into that Investec through a policy of BE. Over a period of time, he got to be CEO. Today, they are telling us that it's time to go. But after they've finished on the table what was there, they then say, no, we must go. And it's not going to happen like that. Let me tell you, we do have the capacity to respond to everyone, but that is not our way of doing things. And that's why we say ANC veterans cannot be the first ones to decampaign the ANC. We are here. I'm here at Lutuli House. Whether I saw when I was in Algeria, people said Mbalula ran away from. I was in the NWC meeting, which was not held here. And I called the sheriff. I said, what is this movie you are organizing? He said, no, hey, this is not a movie. The truck was just passing. I said, what is your problem? What is this movie you are organizing there at Lutuli House with some truck there? How can you come with a small truck? I mean, that thing will fit only this. And they come here, they organize a movie here, Mahlengi must explain the whole day. At the end of the day, if we are found we don't win a case, we have to pay, we'll pay this tax. Batsho abantu bathi sikhokhe sizokwazi ukukhokha umoya. Khokha Mbalula uzokwazi ukukhokha umoya. That's what they say. Khokha bhuti. Now, ngisho kuwe ukuthi wena ukhokha njani ityalo lazi ukuthi alikho bubugebengu. Ukhokha kanjani? Ewe umuntu mawumtyala, you don't go to you khokha. You pay. You sit down with your debtors, you find each other, you make arrangements. We owe taxmen a lot of money. Yeah. Paul Mashatile, when he came in here, we were also faced with the same thing through banks and all of that we must pay our obligations. Even now, Gwen Ramukhupa is paying. I saw some report on City Press when I was in Algeria. That report is wrong. But because there is this big word, insolvency and liquidation. Which political party like the ANC will allow itself to be liquidated? We are fighting here a big battle of people who want money that they didn't work for. We are fighting here. And to defend our organization. And that's what it's all about. It's not like we don't want to pay. We pay where we know that there was no... we honestly have got an obligation to pay these people because we owe them. I can tell you right now, there are many people who come through here, and then it's not for the first time fraud visited the ANC. Through Gwede Mantashe, people came here and claimed social media. You remember that story? And the general manager was dismissed at Lutuli House by Gwede Mantashe because people entered into financial obligations without the knowledge of the organization. It's not the first time. People, our staff members, conniving with people to make money out of the organization that is poor as the ANC. We must part ways with millions of rands for the monies that we could be using to pay people who have genuinely rendered a service to the organization. We must now go raise money and pay these people. So that is our battle. That is our battle with these people who have sat down, empowered by our staff members to defraud the organization. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, I'm certain that you are all covered. I'm going to just indulge a few of the colleagues that haven't had a chance to say something. My brother over there, and I'll also, yes. So those last three hands, and then we'll wrap it up. And yourself at the back. All right, you'll be the last person. And can we try and keep it at one question each in the interest of time?
Just a question. You've lost the case of the Constitutional Court, but on what constitutional principle issue?
I don't hear.
Just, sir, if you could amplify your voice, please.
You've lost your application to contest the matter in the Constitutional Court. On which constitutional principle issue will you argue your application?
Thank you very much. I had noted, who was the second person? Oh, sorry, it was myself. Lindelo, you were going to do, can I take you last?
No, I do one-on-one after.
Oh, yeah, one-on-one. All right, that's fine. Please go ahead.
Just my one.
Please remember to introduce yourselves, colleagues. Yes? Okay.
Just one. You suspended him without actually listening to maybe the second has been given the lawyer has been given you until today, I think at 6 before they start with the issue of liquidation. Is there something you're going to be doing in between that time when you want to?
Thank you very much. City Press?
My question is that there seems to be a lot of internal struggle within the ANC in various stages of branches, to the point where in Limpopo, for example, you have people who have came up with allegations that they are in the nomination list, both province and national. How much does those, and then also there are those kind of allegations that are coming from the Free State and the Northwest. How much does those take out of the ANC in terms of you focusing on winning the election next year and marshalling the ground forces to do the work for you? Because it looks like people tend to forget what is their mandate in the upcoming election, but they are fighting for things of going to national and provincial legislature. Maybe just quick one to come back into your, to maybe as a follow-up into the issue of
We had agreed on one question each. Please.
is really, what is it that, because the case started in the lower court, what is it that the ANC has now that it can prove its case when going to the highest court in the land? Because it started at the high court before it gets to the Supreme Court. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norman. I now move this side. Hand, colleagues. I now turn to the SG. Over to you, SG.
Thank you very much. Allow us to go to the Constitutional Court, and if we lose there, we lose. It's a legal matter. You look at your options and you weigh up. Any liquidation coming our way, we'll fight it, legally and otherwise. So I've seen those reports. We have been in consultation with our lawyers. They can take those chances to liquidate the ANC. We'll fight it legally and otherwise. Any possibility of liquidating the ANC. So these people want the money that they never worked for, including liquidating the African National Congress, the oldest liberation movement, 112 years. They want to liquidate it. They want to liquidate the ANC. They will not succeed. Lunga, the mayor, we acted accordingly, and going back to work in terms of that report, it did not mean that at any given point in time you will not go back to work, but we had to act, and the province acted and subjected him to the disciplinary process. And the disciplinary process will tell us what needs to happen to him going forward in terms of that mayor of Kopano. I've also seen a lot of untruths being peddled around that mayor. The fact of the matter is that here is the mayor of the ANC on record fighting with a citizen. Whether that person is on the wrong side and so on, but even the strong words that have been used in that cannot be allowed, coming from a mayor of Kopano and so on. So we have to hold him accountable for that. And that matter is still being handled. But he's a young person who must understand that you don't repeat mistakes. So the DC will weigh up his future, looking at all things. He has publicly apologized and stopped the political wrangling and blaming others for his own faults. You take responsibility. If you have to fall, you fall. You don't blame others and say that I am in this situation because people plotted me. Who said you must go and insult citizens? So he has to undergo that process. Counseling, and at the same time understand his obligation to the people and to the brand ANC, and that certain things are not done. He's a young man with a great future in our organization, but certain things are not done. So, or otherwise the organization will have to actually intervene. I've answered liquidation. The constitutional principle we're standing on. We argue our case. We have said that we've got a report which we believe is listened to by the higher court. Yes, constitutional court, but also it has gone a little bit broader than that to even look at matters of this particular nature. So we are challenging. We are appealing on this particular matter. Squabbles, we have had a very peaceful list process. What is reported in Limpopo is not the entire province, but processes. If you've got a complaint or a matter you want to raise pertaining to the processes of the list, there are checks and balances in the system. All of those issues will be attended in the system. We have had a very peaceful list process, such that you didn't even have any report to report about it, except today that there are squabbles in Limpopo. Because we are the ANC that behave like hooligans. People, you are shocked by this change of how things are done. It is the ANC, it's on the right path. Sibambi, it means it is responding. And those who are not supposed to be here are leaving one by one. Those who are supposed to be here are staying. This thing is just becoming better and better by day. We have not arrived even by saying we are better off, but you can see that the ANC has got a different direction. A list process about a proper. It's like people are making allegations that, oh, this thing is being tampered with, and all of that. But there is no evidence of that. So the shock system is the thing that things are being done properly in the organization. We opened the list process to everyone. We said to people, in terms of the guidelines, if you are Mbalula, you want to go to Parliament, you've got the right to mobilize people. And there are minimum standards that the public representative of the ANC must meet. Not how He's going to face interviews, something that has never happened. People have been interviewed. So this revolution is not televised. And it's not televised. Most of the things we do, you don't know about them. We've been to 22,000 VDs in the country, doing work in terms of manifesto review. To a point of worry, but the ANC have kept stability. We won by-elections 2 weeks ago. We've defended our base. There's nothing that tells us in these by-elections that we have won, that we are an organization that is about to disappear from the dominance of the political landscape in the country. Yet, there are people who have written us off, and they say that the ANC is going faster. And others, when they look at the voter registration, I was on the ground, never saw some of these political parties, but they claim that the people who registered belong to them. I was on the ground, taking people to register. Others were changing. I've seen in every VD, 22,700. The operational center of the ANC was operating. There's nothing in that registration that told us that we took people to the registration. Young people in the schools and all of that. I was in the Eastern Cape. Matriculants who are qualifying to register, we registered them, took them to the registration. But look, claim easy victories is part of their game. We are focused on this, in this campaign. The campaign has not started, my brother. It's not started. You'll see when it starts. People have been launching manifesto. I saw Mashaba went to Hammanskraal. He only addressed his relatives there. And then Gayton Mackenzie was mimicking Julius Malema at the Joburg, what is this stadium? Orlando Stadium. And then they were running like as if they are in a soccer match, warming up for replacement. And now he's my friend. He gave me a statistic yesterday that there was 20,000 people. I said, Gaty, let's leave it there, my friend. Man. Do your thing. Of course they do their thing. It's democracy. I saw them. I saw who's this guy from ATM. He also launched his manifesto. By Christmas, we'll have forgotten what these people said. I mean, we are launching in February. 24th of February, next year, Moses Mabhida. I saw Malema, once he heard that we are launching at Moses Mabhida, he had to announce that he's going to Moses Mabhida on the 10th of February. But we are going to Moses Mabhida, we're launching our campaign there. Then you will see that the campaign has begun. I see a lot of posters here of many people. And then who launched a party within a week, and within a week, their posters are all over Joburg. I've never seen a party mushrooming in a week. And then in a week's time, they've got posters all over. These people are efficient. And then the thing is called Sarah. You know. And then there are posters everywhere. I mean, in a week, they are right when they say these people are liquid. We must spend hundreds of millions. People have money here. They launch a party today, tomorrow it's all over. But they must declare their income also. Then we're fine. There's no problem. They must declare. We must know who's giving them money. And but they are not obligated by the law at the present moment, but it's shocking stuff. NHI, what the ANC has done to strengthen the case, we're strengthening our case. We're fighting it in courts. We're facing all dangers in the process. But it will not go to the extent of liquidating our movement. I've given you a background to this matter. the people we are in court with on this matter will dispute the facts. They will go and say, Matleng is lying, I'm lying. Normal. We fall because I've never seen such a thing in my life. People who claim to love their organization, they just sit down and plot these kind of things. So these things are not done by people who are not known. They are done by people we know. Some of them, they claim to be members of the ANC. So we know these people. And they claim work that they've not done. Conniving. I'm close to the action, as you know. You know, Leboang was working for me as a PA in the office. I asked him, he cried. I dismissed him. I asked him, where did you get the audacity to do things like this? In the office. I'm running around in the campaign with the president and everybody campaigning hard. When office to bring us down. Just like that. Today we are explaining ourselves over a matter that if indeed we owed people, we should have sat down with them and then agree on terms of payment. It's not like that, guys. It's not like that. We are being defrauded here. The last point about NHI. Our members must do what is right. We know that Busa has complained and everybody, they are threatening to take this to court is to be expected. NHI is going to benefit me and you and the poorest of the poor in this country, making health accessible to all. That's our call. That's our obligation. This is what the people voted for. In the last election, when we went to the people and asked them to vote, we said we will introduce an NHI. That's what they voted for. So we too have got an obligation to cross. There is no diplomacy here when it comes to these particular issues. Go to the ANC manifesto and read what did we say. And this is what we committed ourselves to. So our public representatives in the NCOP must ensure that NHI crosses. Anyone else, then we can go to court about it whenever they feel whatever they want. It is within their democratic right to do so. But this is what people voted for. They voted for the ANC because we said we'll give them NHI. We'll make health services in this country affordable to all. Today, we have given services for free, water and everything else. That's what people voted for us. We connected 90% of the populace to the grid. So all of those things, we have done them because the people, that's what they voted for. And we are going to defend that. We're going to defend freedom because to us, 2024 is our 2024. And to us, 2024 is about the defense of freedom. That's what 2024 means to us, defense of freedom. They have met all of them, inside the country and outside, and they've planned the demise of the African National Congress. We know that. We know that. They've got their sponsors and their masters out of the country, giving them billions of rands for the demise of the ANC. Somebody asked a question, if the ANC is so problematic, why look at your enemies? Who are they? Why do they want the demise of something that ESCOM? The writer said there is a ghost here of Soviet Union. It was reiterated by Johan Rupert. These people, they call each other among investors comrades. Investors don't want the word comradeship. And then who is saying that? It's the ruling class. We are here in this load shedding today. And when we say that there is an act of sabotage, it's as though ANC is in charge here, but the state is run by other people. Yes. It's not ANC members who run ESCOM. It's not ANC members who run ESCOM. It's South African citizens who are employed based on their qualifications. And that's it. So the state is like that, which we seek to transform. The state, here in the state, you can have everybody else, but others can be perpetuating and working for another agenda. And we know that agenda. That agenda is to stop the ANC. The ANC must be stopped at all costs. But this is a democratic state. It's a democratic country. The ANC itself cannot complain in the corner. It must do what is right to stay in power. We can't stay in the corner and cry like babies that, hey, we are being attacked. We must do what is right so that we...
Members of the media, I'd like to thank you for your time this afternoon. We are adjourned. I do wish to just make one quick announcement, particularly for broadcasters. A site visit, we will send you an advisory, a site visit to the site of January 8th, celebration of the 120th in 2024, January 13th, but the site visit will take place sometime next week. You will receive an updated media advisory to assess technical infrastructure requirements. With that said, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.